Welcome to Taiwanica. If you're looking for a podcast that is fun, deep, and insightful about the cultures in Taiwan and the USA, you're in the right place. This power couple tells real-life stories and cold hard facts while bringing you chill vibes, funny jokes, and special points of view that you can't find anywhere else. Now, your hosts, Anita and Eric.
This is episode 32, talking about drugs. The not so legal kind. Illegal drugs. Welcome to Taiwanica. What's up, everyone? My name is Eric. I am one of the hosts here on Taiwanica podcast. I'm also a teacher on Amazing Talker, life coach, and also a meditation influencer. Welcome again for yet another fantastic episode. And joining me today is the lovely, kind of crazy, but we all love her, Anita. Hi, Anita.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome again.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm the other host on Taiwanica, and I'm an amazing teacher, an amazing talker.
Fantastic.
I'm a life coach helping women finding true love.
Ooh, I like it.
If you're looking for true love, I'm the guy.
All right.
By the way, I like your meditation influencer. That's pretty powerful, dude.
Oh, thank you so much. It is something that I love to do on a daily basis.
He does.
Yes.
He's a master. He's really good at that.
I wouldn't say I'm a master, but I definitely get one with space.
That's for sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So just so you know, the kind of outline of today's episode is going to be us talking about drugs. Then we're going to talk about drugs in our countries in Taiwan and in the USA. Mm-hmm. And then to top it all off, Anita and I are going to have some fun telling you the personal story of us. And
stay tuned.
Yes, you'll know more about that very soon.
Mm-hmm. Very curious, in Taiwan we have, every drug is illegal in Taiwan, so no question asked. But in the USA, I'm very curious, except for what is that called? Marijuana. Is there any other popular drugs here?
That are legal?
Or illegal?
Illegal. Okay. Yeah, sure. So in the USA, there are a variety of drugs, and it really just depends.
I just sound so chirpy.
I mean,
we have a variety of kind of candy.
Yeah, I mean, it basically is a candy store here, isn't it?
It is.
But it just depends on a couple of things. One, regionally, where you are, okay. And two, social class, surprisingly. So, so if you are interested more about social class, you can listen to that last episode we made, episode 31. But the social class actually does have an influence on what kind of popular illegal drug people in America do. So let's give some examples here. So in the region that we live in the USA, the West Coast, the most popular drug that used to be illegal but now is legal is marijuana. Mm-hmm. Okay, so everyone, even our neighbors, even
the kids.
I don't know about kids, but
just kidding.
I
mean, college kids.
Yeah, sure. Anyone above the age of 21, you can go to a marijuana store, in other words, a dispensary, and buy anything that you want for marijuana. Mm-hmm. It's very convenient and easy to do these days. But other things that aren't necessarily legal, but still people like to do for recreational drugs. Some of the popular ones are mushrooms. And a quick note about mushrooms. In Oregon, where we live, it's actually one of the very few places in the world where they're doing therapy with mushrooms. So it's a psychological drug that influences you and makes you hallucinate and see things and feel things on a very intense level. Okay, and so they're using it for cognitive therapy. It's very interesting. But anyways, other recreational drugs that you can see are like acid, LSD. There's also mescaline, which is another hallucinogenic drug from another plant. I'm forgetting the name of all of a sudden. But then there's a few other ones that are very popular. One of the most popular is called DMT, and DMT is a drug that makes you hallucinate intensely, kind of like a dream, for a short period of time. And so these are the most popular hallucinogenic drugs. And then there's also the most popular in the high social class area, which is cocaine. And so this one is a general party drug that people used to be really into. It's becoming less and less popular nowadays. But before it was quite a popular thing, before marijuana was legal. And then on the opposite scale of the social class, in the lower class area, there's very cheap versions of cocaine that got altered in the process of making it, and it's turned into crack. And so it's technically called crack cocaine. But people who participate in crack or meth are generally classified in the lower scales. And they also participate in things like heroin. Heroin is one of those drugs that, it kind of blurs the social scale. There's someone of any social class who would participate in that, mainly because it's extremely addicting. So once you've done it once, it's kind of the thing that you can't stop doing. So yeah, heroin is very dangerous. But it really just depends in the USA where you are, what class you're in, and what kind of purposes that you do these drugs for. Most people these days are just potheads, stoners, people who like to smoke marijuana because, it's legal in most places, and it's cheap, and most of your friends are doing it. So it's like the new drinking alcohol rage. So if you want to hang out with your friends, you usually go to your friend's house and smoke a bowl. Yes.
Oh my god.
So yeah, or smoke a joint, all these things. Yeah. Ooh. And then what about in Taiwan?
Interesting. Like I already mentioned, every drug is illegal in Taiwan. We actually have 4 different scales. Like the first one is the most serious one. Like, of course, when you got caught or having it or using it or selling it, your punishment will be like really big deal, putting up jail time or something like that.
Sure.
So the first scale, like the most serious one, will be like heroin.
Okay.
Cocaine, of course, you already mentioned about that, and opium.
Yeah.
It's very. I don't know if it's people still doing it, but apparently they still exist in the market.
Yeah. In the USA too, it's not like a popular drug because everyone, thanks to the Opium War that happened in China with England. Everyone knows that opium makes you extremely lazy.
Not doing anything.
You don't want to do anything. So most people these days don't do it. But it's actually very easy to get because it's from a flower, a poppy flower. And those grow naturally in the United States. So during the summer, it grows in Oregon, it grows in California. And so during the summer, you'll see lots of like hippies on the side of the road, like cutting up the plant before it blooms, because before it blooms, you can create the poppy. The poppy can create the drug very easily. So they just go and cut those all up, and you'll see all these hippies with like these tie-dye shirts and long beards, getting them and like throwing them in their car and driving away before the police come.
It's illegal for you to do that.
Well, I mean, it's not illegal for you to cut flowers, but the police know why they're cutting the flowers. So they're going over there trying to shoo them away, like, hey, get out of here. Stop. Get out of here. Stop it with your opium addiction. Stuff like that.
Funny. Yeah, those kind of things it considers the first level. So it's like very serious. You cannot use it. You probably be like jail time for like up to 10 years or something like that.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and the second scale, I think it's there was a party drugs. Like when you mentioned about a party drug, I think this is a party drug very popular in Taiwan, which is called MD, MA. I googled it.
MDMA?
Yeah, MDMA.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of nicknames for that drug in USA. One of them is Molly, like the name.
Molly.
Another one is ecstasy.
Ecstasy.
Another one is well, it really depends on what is inside of MDMA because it's a chemical.
Yeah.
It's a man-made chemical. So that stuff. Like they have some crazy names, like some of them's called angel dust.
Yeah, angel dust, yeah.
And stuff like that. But it really just depends what it's mixed with. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, in Chinese it's called 摇头丸.
Okay. So
basically
spinning head, fun.
Like shaking hands.
Shaking head, fun.
Basically, it's like one. It's like not like play one. It's like a pill. One.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But I like your definition more.
It's fun, huh?
Yeah, you basically take the drugs and then you will like whatever, like following the music rhythm and then just dance whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of like
That's
that.
what they say.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing is marijuana considers a scale 2, like level 2 in Taiwan. So I Googled it, like if you have marijuana in, you just possess marijuana.
Right.
You will facing at least 6 months to 3 years jail time.
That's like what it was like in USA. I want to say maybe, well, in some states that's still the truth, but for a lot of states that was the truth before legalization. And yeah, it's crazy to think that marijuana still has such a strict rule in such countries like Taiwan.
I mean, drugs in a lot of countries, especially like Asian country, except for Thailand, I heard that's really crazy. They legalize it, and you can have like a drink or everything has.
Yeah, everything marijuana is totally okay in Thailand.
That is so crazy. But anyways, in Asian country, we don't do drugs, and I actually have this quote from my student. I was talking about marijuana one time, and then my kids was like, Asian kids don't do drugs. I was like, okay. I mean, we are lacking of the knowledge about those drugs. Of course, like heroin, cocaine, the famous drugs. We know they have bad influence for your body. You get addicted to it. That's why in Taiwan, those drugs are very popular. It's for those like gangsters. They have different parties. They go into schools. They are a lot of dropouts students. They give them. Not really 不校. It could be normals, like daytime junior school students. They just don't like going to school, and they would just give them those things. One, they can help you to sell more because they are in the campus.
Oh.
And two, it's very easy for those gangsters, leaders to control those young kids.
Oh,
That's
I see. It's kind of like a
drugs.
system.
Yeah. So it's actually really bad. I think that's most of the reason why people are using it. Also, you can selling drugs because it's illegal. So once you do this kind of dangerous job, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's like probably the reason why people are using it. But to be honest, more and more people are using marijuana just, or it's a party drugs.
Right, for party purposes.
Yeah, they are not trying to using it to manipulate people, control people, or selling it. They were just...
But there is a system that does that.
Yeah, for a different type of drug. They don't use marijuana because we know that they will make you addicted to marijuana. But there are some people using marijuana, though.
Well, I mean, it's the thing, right? In every country, even places like Japan, where it's so strict to do anything, there's always going to be some way to leak through the system. There's always going to be a few cracks in the walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm being very hypothetical. What I mean is that basically there's always going to be someone that finds a way to get drugs into a country.
Yeah.
Some countries are much harder to get into than others. The United States is not one of those. We have a very large borders and a big history of drug use. And so we're also probably one of the main reasons why drugs are popular to use at parties. So I mean, it's kind of a representation that we have created. But the point being here is, drugs, they have their purpose. And most of the people who take them do it for, to find some sort of release or escape from reality. And I think that's why, marijuana became so popular, because if you look at the history of it, all the people who were representing marijuana smoking were rebels of society. For example,
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg or Bob Marley.
Oh, Bob Marley.
People who, they have a colorful background. They represent art. They represent music. They represent freedom. They represent, self-expression. All of these things that, every human fundamentally really wants.
Yeah.
And so it basically gave them that symbol, is that, if I smoke marijuana or if I participate in these drugs, I will also feel the same feelings that they do. And so this is a very interesting point to put across about, why probably marijuana is legal now, is because so many people believe that having this drug creates that freedom, or at least the illusion of it, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, it's a very interesting point of view in Taiwan where, it's really intense. But do you ever think that it will stop being so intense?
I don't think so. I
You
mean,
don't think so, really?
Yeah, unless it's like you said, like before, our states, we legalize a lot of drugs, right? Oregon legalized a lot of drugs.
Actually, in Oregon, just a quick note, you're technically illegal. It's legal for you to have any drug in your possession.
Okay.
You can't sell it, you can't use it, but in Oregon, you can have it. Like, this is a very big change in the law that everyone is trying to encourage for the rest of the United States. Do you know why?
Why?
Because basically having it, not using it, not selling it, but just having it, this is one of the biggest reasons why there's so many people in jail in the United States for possession strikes or possession fines, because police would just find these poor college kids with a small amount of drugs in their pocket, and they would go to jail for 3 to 5 years. And it's crazy. So we're trying to reduce the war on drugs, like Nixon, one of the presidents of the United States, declared it. And before Nixon, all drugs were technically legal in the United States, but then Nixon created the DEA, which is basically the drug police, and they and so Oregon was the very first state to say, we're gonna stop this old rule from the 1970s and start saying that it's okay for you to have it, just don't use it and don't sell it to people. And this has reduced the crime rate in Oregon significantly. And so I just thought that was a very interesting point, since you talked about Oregon really quick.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking, because like the things when you make it legal, and it doesn't matter it's legal or illegal, those people are just going to do it, right?
Exactly.
And it's not transparent for everybody, because it's like not a what we so call like the normal business, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And marijuana, that's really hard to say, but what I'm saying is to have it under some circumstances, to legalizing it, for example, like medical use or something like that, it will be less intense for the whole society.
Right. Absolutely. And so I think, in Taiwan, I mean, no matter what, humans are humans. And so the benefit that you gain from something being legal or something being, or the con for it being illegal is going to be the same effect no matter what country you're in. And so knowing that you're getting arrested for holding on to a drug is a really sad situation for a lot of people, because that's life changing just because of you accidentally having a drug in your pocket. So ideally, Oregon can set a representation for a lot of other places to see that, hey, after 5 years of this law, we had a decrease in drug crime by 50%. I think it's I don't know, that's not actual rating or not. That's just an example. But I think that would really show to the world that technically arresting people for drugs is not always going to fix it, because like you just said, there's going to be people who are going to use it and people who are not. But if you, surprisingly, actually, just to also mention, when marijuana became legal in Oregon and in other states, the use of it became more apparent because you could actually statistically know like who was using it, who was not. But if you actually ask people who were doing it when it was illegal, you'll actually find that there are a lot less people who want to do it now because it's simply because it's legal. So the usage of marijuana and the general population dropped. And so I think it's a very interesting thing that, in society, people just like to do things because they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's like you say, all those drugs represent that you being rebellious. You don't want to, you don't give a damn about the society whatsoever. That's why you use drugs.
Yeah.
And once you take that away, it's legal. So people will lose the interest to do that.
Exactly. And so it's very interesting how that happened. Nowadays, let's focus on marijuana a little bit more. Like, want to go get some, you just say, hey, I'm going to go get some flour at the dispensary down the street. Do you want any? You'd be like, yeah, give me a gram of, marijuana. Thanks, buddy. And you go there and you basically buy it like it's at a convenience store. But the sensation of like doing something wrong is not there at all.
And I think it's really good because, like I said, I've been mentioned about like make it transparent. You have to know there are a lot of young kids that do it just like smoke
Like cigarettes.
It's because I think it's cool. People are doing it. I don't know why am I doing it. That's why the teenagers, they like to do it because it's like, rebellious.
Exactly.
But once you make it transparent and that you go to the store, they'll just you basically just like you walk into a, like we always say, like candy store or a cake store. They are very telling you, they label that what's inside of it, what's the percentage of it, like very clear. One, if you get yourself into the situation, you know what you are doing. You will learn how to be more responsible for your behavior.
Right.
I don't care you do drug. I mean, I'm not your parents, but once you choose to do this, it's just like any other habit. It's the same. Like you have to know what is happening.
I think you explained it extremely well just now. And just to give our audience an example that they can compare it to, I want to just talk about alcohol for a second. And that is, people when they go and buy a bottle of wine or they're going to get a couple of beers for the night, they know, okay, if I drink this whole bottle of red wine tonight, I'm going to be pretty drunk.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel pretty good. Or I might, for some people, they're going to be like, I can't drink a full bottle of red wine. It's too much. Maybe I can drink a third or a half, And so it's very transparent to them because they know what the content is inside that bottle, right?
Yeah.
So marijuana did not have that kind of scale until we had these stores. And so making it, like you said, transparent is a perfect word, because nowadays when you go in, there's a percentage, like from a scale from 1% all the way to 100%. And so if you're not sure about like your ability, you can start from the bottom and work your way up. But a lot of people don't think about that. And before, marijuana didn't have that scale when you were purchasing it. So you had no idea what you were getting yourself into. So maybe for your very first time, you accidentally had 100% marijuana. You get sick and you throw up and you maybe, have really bad experience.
Yeah.
Or your very first time you had 1%, you're like, I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah,
I didn't notice. You hear a lot of stories like this, right? Right. And so if you really get a good experience of like trying it, something between, I don't know, 15% or 30%, just so you know, I have smoked marijuana, so I know the percentage level. And if you get something around that, then you will have an experience that you actually will probably enjoy.
Yeah.
But you also don't, like a red bottle of wine, you don't smoke the whole thing, or you only have a little bit of it, right? And that way you can actually experience it well. And I think that's one of the other main reasons why drugs are illegal, because we don't know how to scale them.
Yeah.
We don't know how to make it so that humans can enjoy this in a safe way. And I think that's the only reason why marijuana is legal now, because we've learned that how to make it safe for people to use.
Yeah. It's a very good point. We're not encouraging people to do more drugs. We're just
If you are under the age of 21, do not do drugs.
In America.
And if you are in a state where it's not legal, we do not recommend you trying marijuana.
Yeah, just don't do it,
But if you are in a place where you are 21 and over, and you are in a state where it is legal, you should do what you think is best. We do not encourage drug use, but just so you know that there are precautions and safety measures that have been put in place for you to be able to experience it well.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, on another point, in Taiwan, in the USA, Anita and I had an experience together, specifically with marijuana.
Right.
Isn't that right?
Yes. I'm so dangerous after I smoke, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Right. So, Anita is the exact opposite of dangerous when she is smoking marijuana. But do you want to speak for yourself, or do you want me to speak for you?
I would like to hear your version first.
All right. So there's a lot of stories that we could share, but they primarily all happen around the same time of our lives, and that was when Anita came to USA for the very first time. I introduced Anita to her very first dispensary, marijuana store, and we went and had a great time.
Yeah.
First time was going to the zoo, I think, yeah. And we were extremely stoned when we were at the zoo. And the one thing I heard from Anita the entire time we were at the zoo, besides seeing the animals and be like, wow, so pretty, was, I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm hungry.
That's me.
Do you have any food? I'm hungry. And so, just so you know, something special about Anita with marijuana is that she is very fun when she first smokes, but she'll automatically get hungry
so quickly.
But the danger is if she...
Here comes the dangerous part, I told you.
Okay. It's true. If she eats, she's out. You give her food, she munches really hard. She loves it. She's like, oh my God, this food tastes so good.
I won't even talk.
And I know. But I can see in your face that you're just like in love with whatever you're putting in your mouth. And then 5 seconds later, she's asleep. She literally falls asleep, like no matter where she is, whether we're outside, whether we're at a house, it doesn't matter. She'll just fall asleep. And it is dangerous, very dangerous.
I remember Eric would just hide all the food just because he was like, no, we're going to still have a party to go.
Yeah.
Stop doing it. He would just purposely hide all the foods in the house and then preventing. I'll get angry. I was like, I want to eat food.
She'll get grumpy.
I would.
But I keep on making her laugh, so she forgets for a little while. And then after maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I'm hungry. It's so ridiculous.
It's so funny.
But she's so much fun to play with when she's stoned.
That's fun.
What about me?
Oh my God, this guy, he's just so... How can I even put into words? Alright, so basically he's like Eric. Usually when he's awake, like sober, he's pretty, serious. He can do a lot of things then. But when he smoked, he's just so slow. and they're just super chill. And they would ask you to do random things. Like there was one time we were just talking when he was high. I wasn't high. I wasn't smoke. And so it was just like we were talking, and then he was just like, "Can you touch my hair? I feel like my hair is wet." I was like, "What? Dude, we're talking inside."
Touch my hair.
Yeah, touch my hair. Touch my hair. You touch my hair. Please touch my hair. And I was like, okay, I'll touch your hair. And my hand didn't touch it. And it was like the whole time it was like, yeah, your hair is wet. Really? I think it's wet. I didn't touch it. The hair. The whole time.
I knew that, right?
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you though?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
okay. Anyways.
Yes.
He's like super chill. He will talk about a lot of cute things. And this time is a perfect time for you to teach him some Chinese and Taiwanese just to mess with his head.
Oh, she is Anita is fun when she's high with you because she is just like totally in the zone, giggly about everything.
I love about everything you said.
There's this one time she was out on the porch with my mom.
Oh my god.
And my mom was not stoned, okay? She doesn't smoke. But we were out on the porch, and that's just the front of the house, just hanging out. And my mom was telling her a story about Hawaii. And Anita remembers, okay, remember the word Hawaii.
No. I was looking at her mouth.
Mm-hmm. She's saying words.
She's saying words, but once he finished the first sentence, when she goes to the second sentence, I already forget about what it was the first.
Yeah, I was
sentence.
getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole time I was like, oh my god, because that was my first time seeing your mom, so I was like, I have to be,
very
well
polite.
behaved. Yeah, very polite. I have to remember everything she said, and she was just talking about this trip, and I was like,
Hawaii.
Dang, Hawaii is the only thing I remember after like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I was just watching Anita when this conversation was happening. Her eyes were as big as like snowballs, and she's just focusing so hard. And I knew, because I'm a very experienced person in this field, and I knew in her head that all she was doing was saying the same word over and over again.
It was so bad.
Yeah, it was, oh my god.
Anyways,
but that's what I call winning or losing the war, or the battle. Sorry, not the war. And if you are stuck in one zone over and over again, you are losing the battle.
Miserably.
Yes, miserably. But if you're winning the battle, you're able to function still. And so most of my friends, all my Taiwanese friends, tend to have a little bit of trouble winning the battle. Even I'm talking about you, buddy, if you're listening
the Yeti
to this.
guy.
Yeah, Yeti. Oh my god. So I have to tell that story now. Okay, so
Please do.
I have a friend. His name's Evan. He's from Taiwan. And Evan came to visit me for a trip around Christmas time, before COVID. And he didn't really smoke either, but he wanted to be introduced to it. So I was like, all right, sure, Evan, I'll take you. And he was at the same house that Anita came and visited. So we were out on the porch and just talking, and he smoked. And his eyes were just so red, like cherries. And I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to talk to him in English, and he's just like, yeah. And then I tell him in Chinese, 你不知道我在说什么，对不对? It's like, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? And he's like, 对啊，完全听不懂. But his English is really, really good. He understands English so well. And so it's just because he was so high, he couldn't function. And so we decided to watch a movie that night. And it was about these abominable Yetis, snowman. My mom and I were watching it, really enjoying it. And Evan's in the corner on the couch watching it. His eyes are open. I can see it. And we're watching this movie. And like after the movie, it was an hour and a half long. Okay, it's an hour and a half long. And then my mom and I are starting to talk about something very different, very political. Talking about probably, Donald Trump was president at that time, so we're probably talking about him. And all of a sudden, in the corner, he even shouts the word Yeti. He just shouts it. He's just like, Yeti! I'm just like, what is happening?
Did you break it or something?
I'm pretty sure he was broken. He was broken. And so I was just like, Eben, are you okay? He's just like, wait, the movie? What happened to the movie? His eyes were open the whole time. Yeah, I was just like, I thought he was paying attention to our conversation. He was smiling. He was like nodding and like totally paying attention. And he's like, I have no idea what just happened.
Jesus Christ.
So he was gone for
like
for an hour.
with the Yeti.
Yeah, with a Yeti. So yeah.
Oh God.
Always do marijuana responsibly. Be in
Yeah.
a safe place. I always recommend don't do it outside, especially for your first time. Do it at a home with friends, and especially have like a supervisor. Like my mom was our supervisor
The whole time. Yeah.
And so
And she provides food.
and she provides food.
How
Yeah.
awesome is that?
It's amazing. Oh my God. Macaroni and cheese. Yes. So good. But yeah, it's a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
And so that's our stories for today, isn't it?
That's fun. Yeah.
So Anita, is there anything else that you would like to say before we finish this?
If you want to try marijuana, please come to Oregon. The end.
It's very true. And make sure that you are over 21 years old
Yeah.
and have a, do it in a safe place and act responsible. Yes, thank you very much for listening to today's episode.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and if you want to hear some more funny stories like these, we also have some great stories to share on buymeacoffee.com/Taiwanica. It's our favorite place to put up some really ridiculous stories. So you can definitely check that out. And also, make sure to tune in to the next episode.
Yeah. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Taiwanica. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.